Everyone put away your books. The midterm is about to begin.
Thursday morning chemistry class, and Mr. Wilkes passed a stack of test packets to each front row student, who took one, then passed the stack to the person seated behind him. I grabbed mine and skimmed through the questions, glad I'd studied so hard. Sure, it was mostly because I was trying to avoid signing into the computer and facing Matt/Sir Leo. But hey, nice that my grades would benefit as a bonus to my chickenness. I could feel eyes on me and turned to my left, to see that Billy had seated himself directly next to me. He caught me looking and stuck up his middle finger in greeting. I turned back to my seat. I wasn't going to let him upset me right before an important exam.
Good luck, freak girl,
Billy whispered. I don't need luck, idiot boy, I retorted. I studied.
Everyone quiet. This is not a shared learning experience.
Mr. Wilkes ordered, sitting down at his desk and opening up a copy of some best-selling spy thriller.
Anyone caught talking will be asked to leave the classroom.
The room fell quiet. I started marking my test, answering questions about chemicals and their appropriate symbols, and what they'd become if mixed together. The exam was pretty straightforward, luckily. No trick questions. No stuff that wasn't in the book. For once, I was glad of my teacher's lack of creativity.
Hey, bzzzt.
I could hear Billy whisper to my left. At first, I figured he had to be addressing someone else. Probably some poor sap who'd allowed him to cheat off her test. Until, he poked me with the eraser side of his pencil.
Hey, freak girl,
He hissed.
I'm talking to you.
Don't call me that, I hissed. I looked over at Mr. Wilkes' desk. Luckily, the teacher looked pretty engrossed in his book.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Billy grinned, not looking the least bit apologetic.
What did you get for number 3?
He asked. Your mother, I muttered, turning back to my test. He had some nerve, assuming I'd help him. I wouldn't have allowed my best friend to cheat off me, never mind some jerk like him.
Aw, come on, don't be like that. I gotta pass this stupid thing or I'll be kicked off the basketball team.
Poor baby. As if I cared. I started working on the next question.
Come on, just let me see.
He reached over and tried to angle my paper so he could read my answers. Furious, I jammed my elbow into his arm.
Oh!
He cried loudly. Suddenly, the entire class had their eyes on us. I cringed. This was not going to end well for me. I could feel it. Mr. Wilkes looked up, eyes narrowing.
What's going on here?
He demanded.
She's trying to copy off me.
Billy piped up immediately.
And when I didn't let her, she hit me.
Oh, give me a break! I cried. I couldn't believe he had the nerve to try to get the teacher to buy such a lie. After all, there were probably 5 other students who could attest to the fact that... I looked behind me. At the ones who could defend me. Lucy, Chelsea, Chad. A chorus line of haters. Crap. Mr. Wilkes? Lucy chimed in, waving a well-manicured hand in the air. Her silver-bangled bracelets flashed under the fluorescent light. I saw her do it. Me too, Chelsea added confidently. And it's not surprising either. After all, she hates Billy. Remember when she hit him in the cafeteria? Oh, great. Now that was going to come back and haunt me too.
She's a menace to our school,
Billy said, giving me a disgusted look.
She ought to be expelled.
Mr. Wilkes got out of his chair and walked over to my desk.
Young lady,
He said, staring down at me with his beady eyes.
obviously detention has not straightened you out. We don't tolerate cheating, and we certainly don't tolerate violence here at Hannah Dustin. I want you to go see Principal Miller. I'm going to recommend that you be suspended.
It's about time, Chelsea exclaimed, followed by murmurs of agreement from her friends. My heart sank. Suspension? Mom would kill me if I got suspended. Not to mention it would go on my permanent record. It could screw up my chances of getting into a good college, especially if they wrote down that I had cheated to boot. I didn't do anything, I retorted, feeling the lump rise in my throat. I choked it back. Don't cry. Whatever you do, don't cry. Mr. Wilkes frowned.
You've got 2 witnesses saying otherwise.
But they're Billy's friends, I protested. Not exactly a jury of my peers.
Fine.
Mr. Wilkes looked around the classroom.
Is there anyone here that will speak out for Madeline? Did anyone see Billy try to cheat off of her test?
The room was silent.
Just one person.
Mr. Wilkes said, a small smile quirking at the corner of his lips. He was enjoying this far too much. He and Billy would probably share a big laugh about this on the basketball court after school.
Is there even one person here that will speak out in Miss Starr's defense?
The other students kept their eyes averted, staring down at their own tests, not willing to risk. The other students kept their eyes averted, staring down at their own tests, not willing to risk Billy's wrath by sticking up for me. Come on! I begged the class, scanning the room for members of the manga club, but seeing no friendly faces. Someone tell him! You can't let Billy bully you all forever! You have the power to tell the truth! You're the bully, Lucy scoffed, picking at her pink polished fingernail. You hurt our friend, and now you want someone to lie for you about it? It was then that I noticed Chad, staring down at his hands, gnawing on his lower lip. Chad! I begged, latching on to my one hope. It was a long shot, I knew. Still, he'd promised that day at the restaurant that he wouldn't stand by and watch anymore. Was that just lip service? Please, I begged, tell him the truth. Mr. Wilkes turned to Chad. I watched, holding my breath, as Billy's lapdog swallowed hard. He opened his mouth, then closed it again.
Come on, Chad.
Billy said, twisting around in his chair to face his friend.
Tell them you saw her cheat off of me. Tell them you saw her cheat off me.
Chad's face grew red. He opened his mouth again. He began, his voice trembling.
Billy was trying to cheat off Maddie.
He blurted out.
He tried to grab her paper. She elbowed him in self-defense.
I let out a sigh of relief.
What?
Billy's face was red as a tomato.
Chad, what the hell, man?
It's the truth.
Chad retorted.
And you know it. Don't be a baby 'cause you got caught.
Mr. Wilkes sighed deeply.
God, retirement couldn't come too soon.
He muttered, running a hand through his thinning gray hair.
Fine.
He said, addressing the class.
Everyone go back to your test, but I'll be watching. If I see even one person glance in the direction of someone else's test, you're all going to fail. There will be no passing go, no collecting anything higher than an F grade. But, Coach!
Billy protested. Mr. Wilkes glared at him.
Shut up, Billy, or I'll send both of you down to Principal Miller's office right now and let him figure this mess out.
Billy clamped his mouth shut. I glanced back at Chad, relieved and grateful beyond belief. He gave me a small grin. I smiled back, then looked down at my test, not wanting to get in any more trouble or end up making the whole class fail on my account. I marked down the next answer, trying to focus and concentrate on the rest of the test while butterflies tripped through my stomach. He stood up for me. Chad Murray, hater, stood up for me. He saved me from being suspended, even at the risk of catching total hell from Billy after class. I knew he was different from the rest of them. I just knew it.